All right, Philip, we're on the air. We're live. And so, Philip, while you're getting started over there, I'm just going to start leading this webinar. I'm actually very excited about this webinar. I've got my incense running in the background right now. I'm located in Florida. In fact, that's a great prompt in the chat. Whoever's joining right now, please share where you're dialing in from. Just say a quick hello. We love collaboration in these webinars. I actually just got a investment property down here in Florida, so I'm in Hollywood, Florida. I made it to Hollywood finally, and I'm excited to be leaving the East Coast winter, the Northeast winter, and coming down to Florida for a couple months with my child and my family. So it looks like there's a lot of different people dialing in right now. The reason why I'm excited about this webinar, by the way, is that a lot of my learnings happen by shopping at other e-commerce brands that are adjacent, not even in specific verticals, where there's a ton of learning to be had by doing this shopping. And we're going to actually share a real unboxing today that we purchased from different companies. And I know Philip has some unboxings on his side that he's going to share that he's getting set up right now. And just excited to go through that together and just learn and collaborate. There are going to be poll questions, and maybe there's even a poll question right now that's already up. So if you don't mind sharing some poll questions, as this is just going to be very informing of the people that are dialing in today and joining the webinar. I also just want to put out a tremendous amount of gratitude for those that are joining today, spending an hour 2 days before Thanksgiving to learn something and to grow and to share in this experience. Lastly, if you do have questions, drop them into the questions tab. We'll make sure to get to them. Again, we want this to be interactive. This is not meant to talk to you. This is meant to talk with you. And we want to make sure we're putting that out there. And it looks like in the chat so far, we've got people from Vegas, from Colorado, from Denver, New York City, Costa Rica, London, Milwaukee, Ireland, Palm Springs, Buenos Aires. I love Buenos Aires. Shanghai, LA, New York, Connecticut. Okay, awesome. So it's going to be a fun event today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So before we get started, Philip, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So do you mind, why don't you share your quick brief background, with everybody that's joining today? That would be helpful.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. One moment. Let me get Vitor in.
Or I can start, and then you can roll right after me. Is that cool?
Yeah, that works better.
Cool. So hi, everybody. My name is Chad Rubin. I am a co-founder and CEO here at Skubana. Skubana is an operational software to help you run and automate your back-end operations, from order management and routing and orchestration to inventory to forecasting, demand planning to profitability. So if Shopify is everything above the earth, we are everything below the earth, right? All the back-end to make everything direct from cart right through fulfillment experience, right to arriving at your door. We do everything in between to help facilitate that experience. Before that, by the way, just so you know, I actually still have an e-commerce store today, which is, I think, why these webinars are super helpful, not just for myself, but for others, because I'm not just saying these things in theory, I'm actually practicing them in real life. And so I run a company called Think Crucial. We manufacture home appliance parts and accessories. We sell them direct to consumer online. And that's why we started Skubana, was out of my own pain that I was experiencing there. We offered the same software to everybody else that's going through that same experience, selling multi-channel across many different warehouses or even one warehouse to help facilitate the entire experience. Philip, take it away.
Woo! Cool. Yeah, guys, how's it going? So long story short, we wanted to put this together just to talk about, what creates an unforgettable direct-to-consumer unboxing experience. Quick background on Arka. So we are a platform for businesses to design and order packaging online. Gina just dropped in our URL. Thank you so much, Gina, arka.com. And essentially what we're going to go over today is a few boxes, some of which that we've designed, some of which are actually the product packaging that we did not design, but we wanted to lay out, what's great about the packaging, what could be improved, and all in all, share with you guys what it looks like to have a good unboxing experience. If you guys have any questions during this time, feel free to send those our way. Yeah, and we're essentially here to support you in any way possible as we get through this unboxing experience.
So Philip, should I start with, so I have 2 boxes here that I haven't opened. I don't know what Gina has purchased here in these boxes, but maybe should I start with one and then you'll go into yours, or what's the
Sounds
best?
fun.
Yeah,
Sounds
cool.
fun. Let's do it.
So let me move my Nag Champa incense here to a different place. Just all right. So this first box, and I don't know if this is actually a customer of yours or not. Aurora?
Nope, not us, but it looks nice.
Cool. Yeah, it does look nice. So outer packaging, quite nice. Their mantra here on the side here says, "Better mornings come in small packages," like this one. I thought that was a nice play. The first thing that I do when I get a package from anywhere, my wife thinks I'm crazy, is I actually look at the label on the outside. And the reason why I'm checking out the label on the outside is I want to know how they shipped it, right? And so in this case, it says USPS tracking. And it says global mail, and so I know it's DHL, so they're using DHL for the last mile. And then the last thing that I do when I look at these packages is I look at where it's being shipped from. So right now, it doesn't say Aurora on it, right? It just says Chattanooga. It gives you an address. I always take that address and I put it into Google. And so that's a very quick way of finding out if they're using a 3PL, and if so, what 3PL that they're using. It says kind of dark, so hopefully my light got better. But that's the first thing that I do when I look at the outside of the package. So should we dive into the package now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So let me take my box cutter. I'm coming in dark. I don't know why. But all right, awesome. So right away, you've got the hashtag Morning in Motion on the inside of the box. They have their packing slip. Now the packing slip, they put it on a UPS thermal printer. Now, why would they do that? A, they want to save paper, and it's a lot. Your backlit camera is focusing on the bright light. Okay, so let me move to the wall. Hold on. I thought this was gonna be a nice backdrop, but
it is. It's totally still a nice backdrop. Let me tell you. It's just we want to focus in on the box.
I know. Let's move this over. Sorry, just transitioning here. All right, maybe. Oh, that should do it. All right, it's beautiful. All right, so much better. Okay, cool. So they're using this thermal printer label on the inside. On one hand, it's saving paper and saving ink printer cartridge, but I think the problem with doing it this way is that you can't really upsell the customer too much. It's not the best experience, right? So while they spent all this money on a really nice and well-designed box, you're missing out on what are they going to do with this paper? How can you essentially increase this lifetime value of this customer over time and get them further in the process and dipping back into their wallet a second, a third, and a fourth time? So like, hello, sunshine. I love it, right? Welcome to feel good, productive mornings you've always wanted. It's time to get up and glow together. So you've got some nice packaging here. I think where they fail in a very big way is like, how can you get them to subscribe and get this sunshine again, right? To feel better and get up and glow every month and dip back into their wallet. So that's what I've gotten here. And in terms of the actual, now, Philip, do you guys make actual containers like this, or is it just strictly boxes?
No, we can make containers like that as well. However, boxes are obviously like the fastest turnaround. Everything other than a box just requires some sort of, customization, obviously. I mean, obviously the packaging itself, boxes itself also require customization, but you get overly technical with non-corrugated items because it's very dependent on the product itself. So for that, we can help design it. We would just need specs ahead of time to be able to help create that.
Cool. So, I mean, look, these packages are just very standard. There's not a whole lot on it where it's essentially getting deeper into their wallets at all. It's just morning defense and morning light. 2 different items here with capsules. Interestingly enough, the last thing I wanted to point out here is that on the packing slip that they put into the box, that's a missed opportunity in a very big way, is it says oats and dreams. And so I'm not sure exactly who that, maybe that's their doing business DBA. And there's a different address here. So if I was actually doing this in real life, and I really was curious about who their 3PL was or how they fulfill, I would be Googling this address that's here, also the address that's on the box itself. Overall, I would give this unboxing experience here probably a C because it's a really missed opportunity. But I haven't tried the product yet, and to be continued. Oh, and there was a question here that said, what is a 3PL? So a 3PL is a third-party warehouse that does your fulfillment for you. So back in the day, I actually had my own warehouse, and then we actually moved our entire operation to have somebody who can actually run a fulfillment operations better than I could, running the operation for us. So that's what a 3PL is. Sorry about using acronyms.
No, this is good. You're making everyone level up their game, get real pro, and after this discussion, hopefully they'll have a couple of acronyms under their belt. You're prepping me right now, by the way, with the acronyms because I'm about to throw a few. So I'm glad you did that.
Nice. And so Jordan had wrote here just real quick. Just wanted to make sure people are we're getting their questions answered. Could the package slip be a limitation of the 3PL? It certainly can. This package slip that they put into the box definitely was from the 3PL to limit costs. But I would probably push my 3PL, my third-party warehouse, if they're doing fulfillment for me, to inject my own insert into the package. Right, so you have control of what's being put into packages, what the experience is when you're unboxing this box, what you want the customer to feel. And so while the box does a great job making me feel a specific way, where am I going to get more of this? Where can I leave a review? What are other products do they have in stock that may be helpful to my morning productivity and efficiency? That's where I think that they really misstepped here. So, Phil, why don't you do on your side a package? We'll go one for one.
Sounds good, man. So this one's actually my favorite Felix Gray, so we're going to do this one last. But let me start with Vital Proteins. They have like a collagen creamer that you can get in the mail, which essentially you just open up, nice mailer tab here that says open here. It's nice. Your collagen awaits. Bit of a welcome message. Again, confirming the brand once again as you open for a healthy, vibrant life. Here's where you can find them. Here's
and Philip, can you come more into focus? You're on the edge. Absolutely. There you go.
Sure. Gives more of the social media. As you can see, Vital Proteins is on the side as well. Another call out on the hashtag, the URL. Open it up like so. Has like a nice little message inside if y'all want to read that. So here's one thing I did have an issue with is the fact that this is something that a lot of companies do, right? They'll send the product not with an insert, which we'll show shortly in one of the other boxes, but they'll use some kind of filler. This is good in the sense that it's not having a product rattle around in the mail. But my qualms about this is if there was a little bit more investment done for this package, you could have nicely had an insert right here to put in the container to stop it from rattling around. Because this is honestly taking away from this experience, don't you agree? I mean, this isn't even the same color as the rest of the box. Like maybe if it was white or if it was this shade of blue or even the branding that matches the product itself, that would be fine. This was just like an easy one to miss. So minus points for having this in the first place, even more so for not having it be standardized with the rest of the brand. But other than that, like the structure of the package is great. This is minimally designed in terms of size. This isn't in a box that's too large for this container, which is good because I've received other packages that I didn't even want to showcase. Although it would be a good idea to showcase the example of something that's not good. But we've all been guilty of purchasing a product that comes in a package that's roughly 5 times the size of the product itself. So although they're not guilty of that, they are guilty of the fact that they could have had a better packaging experience for the customer when putting the product in the actual package itself. A simple tray would do the job. We can show it in one of the other boxes, but love everything else that they do in this package. They actually even gave some details, which is a little personalized, that shows who actually packed this, which is nice. Also, something that's not shown here was a free product that came with the package as well, and that's a great way to create customer loyalty is, you know, get them hooked on some other items, show them what else you do, show the scope of possibilities that your brand and your business can deliver with another product, even if they didn't ask for it. I'm always a fan of that as well. If I was to give this a rating, I'd give this a B-, in the sense that everything is packed minimally. They're not using too much material, which I really like, but this really knocks it down an entire grade, along with the fact that this could have been in a different insert to hold the product itself. So now I'm going to move this out of the way.
And the label looks like, I just want to look at the label on the outside. So that looks like is that a short post? Yeah, so it looks like a FedEx short post on the outside. And then if you zoom in on the actual address it's coming from, if you go, Vital Proteins, it gives you an address. So essentially everyone gets the idea here is essentially you can take that address, put it in and just see and understand their fulfillment operations and where they're shipping from and who they're using by just Googling that address right there.
Yep.
The other interesting thing I wanted to point out on this box, I always wondered, like, do hashtags make sense to put on a box? And in Vital Proteins case, hashtag Stay Vital, which is on the inside, on Instagram alone has 22,000 posts for Stay Vital.
There you go.
And people like influencers are all posting that they've received this box with, and taking photos with it, which is kind of strange. But anyway, they're taking photos with the box or with the actual, they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just another thing to think about when you're actually designing your own box.
Got it. We got a couple questions. So one was from Ashley. I think this one was still for you, Chad, in regards to major recommendations for order confirmation. And then we can move on to the insert question that I had along with.
So look, I think packing slips are great because it tells you what you've received and if you've received the right item. Also, it has return information on it. There is a way that you can custom design return or your insert so that they're not printed on a thermal printer in the way that it was with this box. In the Vital Protein box, I didn't see an insert at all. Anything that would essentially get that customer to return back to the website or to leave a review. Unless I missed that, Philip.
I mean, we've got this, which is fine, but it would have been better if there was some sort of like insert, because that can sort of guide the customer on what to do next, other than obviously just consume the product in whatever way. So I have to agree with you there. They could have gone a little bit further. And Gina, thank you so much. She put a helpful article with tips to improve your packing slip in the chat as well. So be sure to check that out. What is the insert still in the box?
That was
already showed that. That was the sticker. Is it smart to cover the top of the box with a shipping label? Would the side be better? It depends on how your branding is oriented. I personally think, sometimes you can even do it on the bottom. Like that's what this was for. You can see this like little snapshot. Is that in there? Yeah. So this is typically where you would want a label to go. But look, I have packaging company. Skubana can better speak to where labels should go in case there's any sort of inconvenience on that end. Is there a reason why you would want it to definitely be on top, other than the ease of use of just like, okay, they put this together, they slapped it on top, next?
No, I think it comes down to this was a miss on the 3PL. They're just not thinking.
Sure.
And I think that's just a mistake on their side, and they're probably doing that frequently. But I would be actually test purchasing my own product to see how my 3PL is doing every so often to get a sense of, are they putting the sticker in the right place? Are they putting an insert? How does that experience feel when you receive it at your door?
Got it. Yeah.
I would say another sort of missed opportunity, right? Vital Proteins, you can put this in a smoothie, you can put this in your coffee. Like there should be a little bit of a recipe book, even if it's just like
So
getting
true.
people's
True.
Like there's so much to be done in this box that gets you back to Vital Proteins to then buy another product. And I just think that they could have done more.
Yeah. They do this subscribe and save. They tell you all that fun stuff. But you're right. Maybe just like a nice little, here's what you could use this product for. Here's our favorite way of using this product. Even if it was, somewhere on here. Obviously, they put it on the package itself. They talk a little bit about, the right temperatures to have this product in and how to mix it around. But yeah, the package, look, they still have all this real estate. This is all still branded. It's not going to cost them any more to have this be blue or have this be print, because no matter what, this is still used real estate for the packaging branding. So to have some sort of instructions on there, especially when there's so much text up here, would have been really easy for them. So I have to agree with them. You want to hit another one, John?
Yeah, for sure. There were a few other questions I just want to touch on here. How do you entice the customers to buy again with effective packaging branding? So this is, I would say, like one experience share I can share with Vitor Bottega. I think that's who asked this question. For me, is that you could even have a QR code, right? And the QR code would pull up Facebook Messenger, and you can ask them, like, once they scan the QR code, to claim a free gift. And at that point, now they're in your funnel, right? You're getting them to engage a lot further with you and your brand and the experience
100%.
itself.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we're actually starting to experiment with at my e-commerce business itself, is like, how can you get people back into the funnel, either to essentially incentivize them for what the behavior you're trying to have them achieve. So if you offer a free gift in a product, bring them back into the messenger funnel, and maybe you want to incentivize them to leave a review. Maybe you want to incentivize them to buy something else that's adjacent to the product that you've sold them.
Totally.
There's a lot of ways that you can do it to essentially get them to buy again with effective branding. Have you seen anything else that's similar, Philip?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked that they did put in a protein bar, but it was funny enough, it was taped to the side, which is weird because there was room in here. For them to be able to do something where maybe it was on the inside, and maybe even on the inside it had some sort of like messaging of like, try this as well, would have been really nice. But yeah, it was just taped to the side and we ripped it off the second we got it. But you know, points for effort. They still gave me a free product, which I liked.
Nice. All right, cool. Should I do the, I have one here from Bombas. This is one of my favorite companies out there. I think they do a really nice job. At least the last time I've bought from them, they did a great job.
Cool.
Let's make it rain here with this. So I don't know what they purchased from me here, but I definitely am a big fan of Bombas socks. And I'll tell you why at the end of the unboxing. So right away, you've got a corrugated box. You have the tape on the outside here that's custom. Nice touch. Now, interestingly enough, the address here, if you look here, the address is saying it's custom house. So if you actually type that in, it'll take you to their 3PL. And it happens to be that their 3PL, their fulfillment center, is located in Mexico. So they ship everything because into Mexico from their supplier, and then from Mexico, they get into the United States, and then they do the final delivery. In this case, they also went the extra mile to get this UPS next day air. We definitely didn't pay for next day air, but they sent it to us next day air. So I'm going to open this up, and let's check it out. All right. So right away, now I don't have a cool screen that Philip has for this unboxing, but right away, this is first look, first glance. We have something here, and then we have the insert on top. So this looks like a card, and so that's what we're going to start with here. Warm wishes and warm feet. Quite nice. I like it.
That's cute.
Bombas. These socks were made to give. Of course, you know Bombas, if you buy one, they give one. These are for wearing, not for hanging over the fireplace. Love. And so I think it's a very cute thing here. On the back, they talk about the fact that they give for every purchase. Essentially, if you have a problem, they have a happiness team. They'll make it right. That's one of the reasons why I love Bombas. I actually had an issue with an order, and they were like, hey, keep the socks. In fact, donate them. So we donated those socks that didn't fit as well as I would have liked. But my entire sock collection is Bombas socks, and I think they do a really nice job. So that's the insert. I don't see, outside of that, here's my goods on the inside. I don't see a lot of other upsell opportunity that they could have taken advantage of. So it's really just it's transaction oriented, saying, hey, this is for you, warm wishes, make you feel nice in your belly and in your mind. And then you have the product itself. The product itself, one of them, actually, let's just focus on both of them. This looks like a bottle of alcohol, but it's not. So we have 2 products here. This one has just a UPC code on the bottom telling you a little bit about Bombas, but again, it's not anything to write home about. The top of this canister says, "For silly days and my feet are chilly days." And this box here, it's just a box. So I would say that they missed out on the opportunity, unless there's something inside this box, which we're going to find out right now. Let's see. So yeah, so looks like we've got some nice socks here for the holiday season. I'm not going to need these in Florida. Put that blade in. I'm just looking at the comments here. And then this one, if I open this canister, oh, it looks like it's for my child, for my 15-month-old. So it looks like we're going to be matching socks. So toddler, father, socks. So I would say overall here, this experience in itself is also a little bit underwhelming, although the product is overwhelmingly positive, in a very positive way. I would give this product unboxing experience a C, just because I think there's a lot of missed opportunity. Even the inside of this well-designed, this box here is just white, and there just wasn't an opportunity to connect with me as a customer. There was no hashtag. So I think there's a lot to be had here on improving this experience.
Chad, we're gonna have to create like a good scoring system to, we should do this again and have maybe a specific amount of weight and maybe points between every single thing that's required. So if the hashtag is worth, 5% and not having an insert's worth 15% or whatever, then we can have like a real deal, V2 of this discussion. I think we should have this be an ongoing series, because I like your rating system is freaking harsh too, which I really like, because we have folks that don't know anything when it comes to branding. And I just want to be explicit about this to those of you that are at home watching this. Don't fret at the grades that we're giving. We are honestly going to top shelf experience. And to be completely honest, if you have a business that is anything like the unboxing that we've done so far for either Chad's companies that he's worked with or myself, you are still in really, really great shape. I just want to repeat that. Like, you are in great shape if you've done any of the above in what's, in what's been presented today. We are just being harsh critics that are going for top shelf. There's always room for improvement. This is an iterative process. Do not get down on yourself if you're nowhere near this, or if you're around this category. You can always do better, but at the same time, what's most important is, are you satisfied with this? Is your ethos, is your branding being communicated to your customers? Like, first and foremost. From there, then you got to work on the customer loyalty. You got to work on the hashtags. You got to work on a way to take your customer along a journey. All that is excellent, but it's a bonus on top of the fact of, are you even communicating your brand properly? Like that is first and foremost the most important thing. It's something that most people miss. That is something that you should focus on. And anything in addition to that is just a bonus. So we're really just rating the bonuses that are involved in the unboxing experience.
And just to piggyback on that, like, I am a lifetime customer of Bombas. Right now, they didn't give me a hashtag, they didn't give me an insert, but the experience I've had with dealing with the company, the return policy, the happiness, their customer support is really the happiness support or happiness advisors or whatever. Like, the way that they've handled me, they sort of converted me to a customer for life without having to throw a lot of the bells and the whistles, the pluses that we're sort of rating them on, these missed opportunities. So I continue to buy even though they don't have that in the packaging.
For sure. Yeah, that's such an important point, Chad. Like, you can't have an unboxing experience replace like a good experience with the product in general. Like, you can't buy your way out of that by just having such a nice box. Because in the end, like, what's your product like, and what are the people you have to engage with like? Do you want a lifetime customer, or do you want someone who just, throws up a hashtag on Twitter once or Instagram and then that's that? So we're talking about the long game here, just as Chad said, like, lifetime customer of Bombas. C or no C, doesn't matter. The point is, he has a good experience out of it.
Yeah, high NPS score for me with Bombas. I essentially recommend them to all my friends and family.
That's awesome. Well, they are poets. Do you have maybe while I'm unboxing this, if you can, maybe even if you can dig up like a referral code, I think they'd appreciate that. You sound like a good advocate for them. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, quick unboxing of just these chocolates, unrelated to this, but this is strictly just product packaging. This is not something you would ship. I just thought this was pretty neat. They basically have this cannabis chocolate look like basically you're getting jewelry. The same type of experience you would get for something like that. Here's a nice little message from the co-founders, which is really nice.
What does it say?
Cannabis. We love cannabis, chocolate, and you. Thank you for choosing Mood Food. And that's the name of the company, Mood Food. Lauren and Brent Graziano, co-founders. Learn more, stay in touch, gives their URL, Instagram, email, the moods, chill, create, love, party, and sleep. And currently we are opening up chill. So over here we have chocolate. I feel like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, getting that golden ticket of the chocolate. So here's their chocolate. Looks incredible. Looks delicious. Can break it apart like so. When you're done, just fold it back up. Put in this bad boy here.
Save those for later.
Save those for later. Every OCDer is absolutely cringing by that fold, but it's okay. I'm all right with it. Just chill. Read the message. And then here we go. Felix Grace. So this is one of my favorite companies, not only to work, not only to purchase their product, but to work with. They are one of our companies. Shout out to Bobby and Michael. They've been wonderful customers. We've helped them through this process, going and talking specifically about inserts, which we're going to talk about shortly when we open the box. Something that you can't probably tell through the camera, but as far as tactile experience is concerned, like this was a really nice litho laminate. And essentially what that is not printing directly on the box like you would have here. So there's multiple print processes. There's digital, there's flexo, and there's litho. So for digital print is just a box where a giant inkjet printer sprays the ink on the box, the ink rests on top, and the finished product is what you see. For this is flexo. This is a little bit more sophisticated than that. It's essentially a giant stamp that gets rolled in ink, and then the cardboard, when laid flat, gets extruded through that stamp, and then out comes your design, which then gets folded into a box. So the cardboard has the printing on top. With something like this is a litho label, and the reason why they call it a label, think of a sticker. A sticker's a label, right? Or any of these are labels. There's something that you slap onto something, right? So the difference between this and this is that something is printed on first, which is this label, and then that's layered onto this box, which is different than this, where a giant piece of cardboard goes through a machine and gets printed on. Not so much with this guy. The sheets get printed on, and then the sheets get layered onto this, leaving a much smoother touch. Almost has like a glossy feel to it.
So is that the telltale sign that it's a little bit glossy? Is that the best way to know if it's litho or?
You can get, here's the thing. That's a great question, Chad. Like you can get a varnish on a flexo box, which will make it look like it's a litho job, but they won't be the same thing. I think to the untrained eye, it probably looks the same. So you can do that. But it really just depends on how you want to move forward. The other thing about litho label is there are you can get finer, crisper prints out from a litho label because it's not a stamp that has to like roll in ink and then essentially typewriter itself onto a piece of paper. This is all printed ahead of time, and then whatever the heck you want this to be can be layered onto the box. So these like finer details of, you know, the plants or this drawing or the circles around the owl's eyes. If this was done flexo, it could be a little bit smudgy. That's just the nature of the print quality. Whereas with something like this that's litho, you'll see this really nice crisp outcome. You know, they chose white for the outside, which can be tricky because sometimes you can get something like that in transit. This will get smudged. There's like some smudging here. Thankfully, it's only on the bottom. Otherwise, the top looks pretty good, pretty clean.
And which is less expensive, Philip? Which is less expensive? And which one does your company do?
We do all the above. We do flexo, we do litho, we do digital. The only thing about litho is the upfront costs are expensive. So both of these require tooling. It's just that with litho, the tooling can be a bit more expensive upfront. So where you'll have something like this that's $1,100 per color, maybe this might be $2,000 per color just for setup costs. That's why we recommend digitally printed boxes if you're doing less than 5,000. Let me repeat that. If you're doing less than 5,000 boxes per month or even per quarter, I would highly recommend you print digitally. The other reason being is that you're clearly not doing enough volume to maybe be that satisfied with your brand anyways. Like, you should be continuing this as an iterative process. So if you're doing, 5,000 and below per month, you're probably still just getting started on some level. So you want the flexibility of being able to change your design. With digital, you can change your design every week if you want, because you don't require tooling like these guys do, like Flexo and Litho. So if there's no tooling required, the per unit cost will be slightly more expensive. However, all in all, the total cost will be less, because you don't have the upfront costs of like $2,000 per color or $1,100 per color, and then $800 for a print plate, which is essentially the giant cookie cutter that comes and punches out your box that lays flat and then is folded up. So we have courses like this on Shopify. If you check out Shopify Compass, I go into greater detail. I don't want you guys to get discouraged from that data dump I just threw on all of you. It gets easier and simpler the more you read about it. But long story short, biggest takeaway: Flexo for finer details. Litho for finer details. Flexo once you get into the higher volumes and you're committed to your design, meaning you're not going to change your design every month. Maybe you'll change it once or twice a year. It can still be worth it, because the per unit cost is a little bit less than doing digital, but the upfront cost is higher. So,
all right. So there was a question from Alexis. Do you help with the designing of the box, or is that the responsibility of the brand?
Do we help with designing the box? We have folks that can help you design the box, meaning, we have all best practices when it comes to, hey, here's, you should put your URL right here and your logo should go on top and this should be centered. And maybe you have a nice little message on the side and so on and so forth. We definitely help with that. But when it comes to a full-blown logo, we will refer you to someone. But when it comes to getting your design on the box, that is something we can help with. But we are not a design firm in the sense that, we will design your box for you. However, any artwork you have that you want layered onto the package, we will complete your vision for you. That's how you should look at Arka. We will complete your vision for you, take your design, put it on the package, and send it out the door for you to see. We also do sampling. So if you wanted to try something and see, what a box might look like with your branding on it, it's anywhere between $20 to $50. To just check out like a branded design and then make your changes from there.
So if they wanted to get a designer from you, a recommendation, would they just contact you?
Yep, support@arka.com.
Awesome.
Cool.
And so the other question that came in, I was looking at some questions here. How about poly bags versus boxes?
Totally. So boxes, all of our boxes are FSC certified. So that's the Forestry Service certification. That's the highest standard you can get for sustainability, recyclability, post-consumer content. So with regards to paper and boxes, that is the eco-friendly route to take. Not only that, but it can give a more premium feel for your product, and it's obviously sturdier. So if you're shipping something like sunglasses, you will want them to go in a box. If you're shipping something a little bit heavier, you'll want it to go in a box. Poly mailers can be great for apparel. And even then, it really depends on what type of messaging you want to get across to your customer. A higher, more premium product might come in a box, whereas a t-shirt or something that you just want to get something comfy might come in a poly mailer, both of which we can help with. This discussion, for the sake of the terminology of unboxing experience, is strictly boxes unboxing experience. We can have an unboxing or unbagging experience as well in a future webinar. But for the purposes of eco-friendly and protecting your product, definitely go for boxes. If you want something a little bit less expensive with limited branding design, that's something I want to emphasize heavily, actually. Very limited branding capabilities when it comes to a poly bag. For quantities under 3,000, imagine this box is completely empty, completely blank, except for this little square here, Felix Gray. If you're doing less than 3,000, that's all you're going to get out of a poly bag. Just this.
Yep.
So if you want something fully branded, start with a box. And if you're pushing really high volumes and your product doesn't need to be protected and you don't really care, go with a poly mailer.
Yeah.
Happy to help you.
Say, like, my product in the e-commerce world is a commodity. So a lot of times it depends on the margins. And so the poly bag can dictate whether it goes a pound or under a pound. Obviously, under a pound, there's a lot more savings to be had. when you're shipping first-class mail, USPS. And
Mhm.
so that's why we choose poly mailer, just because we're in a very commoditized, low margin business.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, if that's where you are as a business and your volumes are high enough, 3,000, 5,000, 15,000 plus, you can get all this same branding. It's just that it really depends on where you are in your business. If you're starting out, digitally printed boxes make the most sense. If you're passing 5,000 volumes, you can start thinking about flexo or litho print or branded poly mailers that will have a lot more branding on them than just the logo. It's totally up to you.
All right, last question, then we're going to actually dive into the unboxing real quick because we're keeping everyone.
No
But January, it said, doesn't using boxes use a lot of trees and therefore not so sustainable, even though they can be recycled?
Say that one more time. Boxes use a lot of trees and therefore not so sustainable, even though they can be recycled. Yeah, so January, great point. That's why we got FSC certification. So all of our packaging comes from paper mills. So down to where the paper is sourced, using the most sustainable practices. So look, your product has to go in something. You can't just slap a label on this and throw it in the mail, right? So if you're going to put it in something, yes, a lot of trees are used for paper that ultimately go into boxes. However, that process, depending on what facility you use and what company you use, hence why we have this stamp and certification of FSC, is going to vary. With something like plastic, I mean, forget about it. I mean, having an actual like petroleum-based product in comparison to something like a box is way different, which is why we definitely recommend using a paper product that's recycled, has a high post-consumer content percentage. And in that regard, you'll be taking the most sustainable and eco-friendly route.
So a box is better for the environment than a poly mailer?
100%.
And what if it's a biodegradable poly mailer?
Then it depends on the company itself and where you're actually getting the poly mailer. Like we specifically use what's called non-virgin plastic, which essentially is a poly bag. The inside is gray. So this is a good little tip for anyone at home if they want to know if their vendor is eco-friendly or not. If the inside of the poly mailer is gray, that means it's recycled material, which is great. The biodegradable corn-based poly mailers, I haven't seen a lot of flexibility when it comes to printing, some of which only allow for like, a one color print. And then when it comes to the actual manufacturing of the corn mailers itself, that's another question I would ask. So it's not just about the material itself or what happens afterwards in its life, what led up to it? So, if you had to, sacrifice an entire beach shore to be able to create a biodegradable bag, what's the point, right? Whereas if you had something that is, a little bit more generic and may not be as, kitschy or as in vogue or fashionable as like a cornstarch mailer, for that regard, don't think that you're not taking the most sustainable route, because you need to take that into account as well. Similar to like, how people had all sorts of qualms about the Prius being, when it first came out, like the most sustainable product, but then what do they do with the battery when the car dies, or anything that led up to it? It was not exactly the most eco-friendly process that led up to it. So owning something like a BMW in the lifetime of the product itself was still more eco-friendly than the Prius itself. So I'm just saying, don't fall for gimmicks. Like, and if you're confused, you can always fall back to paper. Paper is always the best route. You can't go wrong with paper.
Cool. All right, let's go inside that box and see what we got.
Let's go inside this box and see what we got. Okay, so first off, this is a very snug opening. I just want to mention that. That's okay. It's just putting the box back together that can be a little bit, it almost like plateaus as you open, right? But it's on the borderline. It's actually pretty great how you can open this box, and it's very sturdy, and it's not bowing out when the box is closed. And as you can see here, like the compartment is just open enough for the flaps to go in. So it's actually great, but it's on the borderline. So you want to make sure that you test your product package with your product inside, opening and closing, because that's obviously going to leave impression as well. Okay, and we'll open up this bad boy and check it out. They have a QR code, beautiful. It goes to shopfelixgray.com/let's go. So you can find out everything you need to find out about these glasses. So I think someone in the audience had asked earlier about inserts. So this is exactly what I mean by insert trays. And this is cool because this is a box that can hold one or two, right? So they have another tray that just has a insert right here that they just swap out for the box. They don't need to buy more than one box from their packaging supplier, Arka in this case. And all they need to do is swap out the tray. So whether they have one or two boxes, one or two products inside, and then same with the 3 and I believe up to 5 product box, they'll be able to just swap out the tray for the other box. So that's a really good hack for businesses that have multiple products. I know earlier in the questions, I saw someone ask about multiple items and what we should do and how we should split them up. That is essentially one of the ways that you can do it, is have a different tray based on the products that are going to be going inside, and we can help design those inserts for you. The inside has a nice feel to it as well, because this is also litho lamb. Sometimes what people do will do flexo on the outside and litho on the inside, or vice versa. These guys decided to keep it pretty consistent all the way through. And then here are their glasses. I got 2 kinds. I got these like clear ones called the panoramas, which I really freaking like. The case also says Felix Gray on there.
And sorry, are those blue light blockers, or they just?
They are blue light blockers, and I even brought a demonstration for us so you can see what the hell that even means. So check this out. So with blue light blockers, you're essentially supposed to stop damage to your eyes that occur from blue light. So check out this strip that just shows like a second of what it looks like when a blue light hits the strip. It obviously, turns purple. Then you got something like this, where you can take the glasses, blast on through like so.
What? That's awesome.
So that's pretty sweet. I mean, clearly, look, and I'm really pressing it to there, right? And it's not like you're going to be this close to a screen, but hours on end are going to make some sort of effect. Whereas, no blue light, bam. No
Wait, Philip, I have to ask, do you just have that blue light tester for fun, or do you get it just for this unboxing?
Well, first of all, LOL. But second, so these guys are a customer of ours, and I don't want to kick them in saying that they should have something like this. But I did try a bunch of different companies. So shout out to Sojos, Sojos, another company that actually had this in the package. And I don't know, like I've gotten varying opinions on this. Some people think it's gimmicky to include that. I like it. I mean, I liked it. Maybe I'm just like a nerd. I'm less so falling for the gimmick and more so falling for the science, because I don't want to buy into something that's BS. If I hear, oh yeah, these are blue light glasses and they do such and such, I'm going to say, okay, sure, whatever you say. Whereas if I have the evidence, like I think it's more so, it's less of a gimmick, and I think it's better for naysayers like myself. I mean, that's kind of in the camp that I was in. I want to say prove it, right? And with this, you have proof. So another company had sent these in the mail. I actually got a couple glasses because I'm actually going to be keeping one of these. I'm buying into the craze. My girlfriend has a few pairs, and I've been wearing them, and they honestly they work. I mean, I don't have like dry eyes by the end of the day, and I'm not squinting by the end of the day. So that's kind of nice. If I'm getting that little extra boost when it comes to my eyesight, that's not a insignificant thing to help. So anyways, additional questions, help@shopfelixgray.com. They've got all their social here as well. Overall, looks pretty cool. I mean, I like what they did here. I think if any company can get to this level, next comes the iterative process to pass, Chad's level of getting an A. But for me, I really like this. I think this is, if you're here, if you can accomplish this, you're fine. You're all set. If you can do more than this, then Chad will be happy, and you'll be in the upper echelons of successful unboxing experiences.
You gotta get that test kit in the box, and then know where that. Let's see, the test. I think that's important, and then QR code. Like, where does that QR code go? Right? Like, how does that?
Yeah, no. So it says it goes to shop. Like you can. So
you just go back to shop more.
You can shop glasses. And find out more about your glasses. Like it'll specifically take you to your set of glasses. Because when you do shop, it does tell you, but maybe you're just excited to get a pair of glasses and you're not exactly reading up on it. Whereas now you have your glasses, you want to read up on it. By the way, here's where you're supposed to go and check it out. But yeah, I think so too. I think these are great, but I can see what they're doing. I can see why they're not doing it. To some people, it's seen as gimmicky. But again, Not to the nerds. I think to the nerds it will come off as like.
Shout out to the nerds. All right, so let's do a lightning round. So thank you all those nerds that are joining us today. We have 8 minutes left. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. So let's do a lightning round of some questions. Philip, I think you might be able to like get to these quick. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So is unboxing worth investing only for influencers and the chance of getting it seen by many, or is it something to invest in for all your customers?
That's actually a funny question. Look, I mean, yeah, obviously with an influencer, you're just adding something to the experience to amplify that influencer to, megaphone, whatever it is your product out there is. I would just say, yeah, it's a prerequisite for an influencer. But then for your own personal brand, that's totally up to you. I'm always going to say you should absolutely invest. Like it's not, the thing is, people are spending between 8 to 30% of the product cost in the product packaging. So if you're anywhere in that range, you're safe. You're totally fine.
Sorry, what were those percentages again?
8 to 30%.
8 to 30% of the product cost is in the packaging. Yeah,
it's in the packaging itself. So if you're going over 30%, maybe you're. I saw someone saying that Chanel was one of their favorite unboxing experiences. I wouldn't be surprised if you get like a designer item and maybe the cost of the product itself is significantly less than the packaging itself, because you can't hide the quality of a package. Maybe you can hide the quality of the product with a brand name that you slap on it. But when it comes to packaging, that's something else entirely. Going back to the question though,
and you know what else is I just want to piggyback on that. Yeah. It's fascinating that people spend so much time to get real estate space, like advertising space on Instagram, right? To get people to buy the product, and they don't try to get the real estate space of their mind. And that's really the package design and that experience that we're talking about.
That's a great point. No, that's a great point. Like the whole thing that comes from this is like, look, this is a physical user experience, guys. Like, so first the question is, do you even invest in user experience? Like, what does your site look like? What does the journey look like to even get the product? Like, if you're investing in things like that, if you're blasting money on Instagram ads and Facebook and Google and whatever, like this is this is a layup. This is something that someone brings into their home. Like the return on that spend should be more than quantifiable as positive. So with something like this, like I said, it can be iterative. You can start out slow. You can start out small. You don't have to have, a lamination with an insert followed by, QR codes and all that. Like if you're just starting with your logo on a box, congratulations, you've gone from 0 to 1. But it can get addicting. You're gonna want to do more, and you should do more. Like these are the kinds of things that first of all, it's beautiful, and second, it's something that's going to make your customers happy. So yes, you should absolutely invest in it, not just if you're talking to dang influencers.
Another question I saw come in was like your pricing relative to China. Now, someone said, "Hey, why should I buy from you versus China?" If you don't mind sharing your perspective there, that'd be helpful.
Oh yeah. So first of all, the U.S. purchasing in the U.S. is going to be triple the cost of China, but then comes into the several factors you might have on shipping costs. So you really want to. My only advice there is like bust out the Excel sheet and amortize the total costs of everything all in to your doorstep or to your fulfillment center, versus just a box costs $1 in China, $1 in the US, and it costs 33 cents or 30 cents, whatever in China. Like, why should I use you? Well, then I'm going to say, first of all, how long is it going to take to get here? Good luck getting it within 2 weeks to 60 days to 90 days, depending on what service you use to get it over here. Followed by the fact that if you're not standing by any sort of FSC certification, then maybe sustainability is not important to you. That's going to go out the door if you're going to be using China. Followed by if you're able to figure out what customization is available as well, because low quantity volumes is not going to be that easy to get in China. On top of the fact that boxes in general might actually be more expensive. Poly bags, yeah, absolutely, go to China. It's going to be cheaper. But with boxes, that's not always the case, because boxes, like this is obviously it's paper, but stack these on top of each other and you're basically freighting wood from China to the US. Like it's heavy and that can be expensive. So bust out the Excel sheet, make sure your per unit cost is actually formidably cheaper if you want to take that route. But I'm just speaking in terms of like US versus China at this point. If you want to really talk about like Arka, well, I don't know of any Chinese packaging companies that are partnered with Skubana. And I don't know of many Chinese packaging companies that are partnered with, let's say, Shopify, which I believe is actually zero because they were the only packaging company that's partnered with Shopify. So if you want to have a turnkey process, using someone like I'm again, just selfishly speaking for Arka at this point, first points were just US as a whole. But with someone like us, like we're actually integrated into your Shopify store. We can connect to your WMS, 3PL. So if you want something that's a bit more turnkey, you should take this route. But look, if that's not important to you and you just want something cheap, yeah, sure, go to China.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So there are more questions here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I certainly want to shout out everyone who's joining today and just say thank you for spending some time with us. This was fun for me, and I'm hoping it was fun for everyone else that joined. Philip, where can people find out more about you, more about Arka? What's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, well, if you want to talk to me, you can always just hit up Philip@arka.com. That's my personal email. If you guys have any questions, PHILLIP@ARKA.com. But if you want fast responses and it's about getting your packaging done, hit up support@arka.com. I do read all my emails though, just apologies if I don't get back to you right away. However, if it's about an order and you want to get things out the door fast, do not email me. It's you're going to have a bad experience. Just email support@arka.com. The team will get back to you. But Arka.com, that's our website. You can also find us on Shopify and soon Square and BigCommerce. We are also integrating with them shortly. So by Q1, if you're on any of those platforms, we should be able to plug into your store.
Great. And if anybody wants to learn more about myself, you can email me, or you can even just hit me up at chat@Skubana. That's my personal email address. The website is Skubana, SKUBANA.com. Again, thank you so much for joining, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Awesome. Hey, shout out to Mr. Smith saying we prefer American made. Heck yeah. Great job over there. And then Alicia, thanks for saying we have good customer service, and then we get back to you in a decent time. We try. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. Thanks, everybody. Till next time.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye.